Well, welcome everyone. It's great to have you all here. Thank you for spending some time with us today. I know there's lots of other things probably pulling at your time. So we're going to try and make this as valuable as it can be with some tangible takeaways today. So I'm excited about our topic too. So I've been with Lucid Press for the last 5 years. And I've had the opportunity in that role to speak with so many different marketing leaders and creative leaders across so many different types of organizations. And often I get to hear about the mistakes that they have learned or have made when trying to implement templates at their companies, and also some of the fixes, some of the things that help to overcome some of those mistakes. So I'm excited to share those with you today. So moving along here, before we get into the meat of this, the real reason why you are all here for our Lunch and Learn webinar, I just want to make sure that you're all aware that we're going to be giving away a couple of DoorDash gift cards. We want to buy some of you lunch for our Lunch and Learn webinar. So at the very end here, if you stick around to the very end, we're going to do a drawing. V will come back on and announce some of those winners. So stick around to the very end, and we hope that we can give you some lunch and some valuable content. All right, here we go. This is the list of the 9 most common templating mistakes organizations make. And this is for all of you out there who really want that value added in the first few minutes of the webinar. So here you go. If this is all you want, this is it. But we're going to dive into each of these mistakes a little bit more and talk about them, as well as the fixes for each of these mistakes. And if you stick around in the end too, I also have a bonus mistake and tip that I'm going to throw in there as well. All right. So before we jump into this, I want to get to know you a little bit more. So we're going to launch a poll here. So you should see a poll pop up on your screen right now. The first question is, does your organization have branded templates for employees to customize? So examples of that might be, presentations or letterheads or business cards or sales brochures or, other things like that. It could be across the board. Kind of depends on what your company creates the most, right? Great. So we see a ton of responses coming in here. Let me just give it another second or two, and I will show you these results. Okay. Here we go. So here are the results. Hopefully you can see that on your screen, but 83% of you said yes, which makes sense. You're at a webinar today about how to optimize and improve your templates and templating program. 15% said no. Well, hopefully we can convince that 15% or those that 2% that are unsure that it's worth it to invest in creating branded templates for your employees to customize. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. So excellent. I want to launch the second poll today. So just to follow up on that, this question is, how useful are your templates? And so 1 being not useful at all, 5 being extremely useful. Where do you fall on, where do you feel like your templates fall for your organization on that spectrum? Okay, awesome. See a ton coming in here. We're kind of split. We're a little bit all across the board here, which is understandable. All right, give it another second or two. Get your responses in there. Okay, here you go. So here are our results. It looks like about half of you are right in the middle somewhere. You probably have some templates. You're not so sure how useful they are. Some of you have extremely useful templates. I'm going to be looking to you to add some comments in our chat as we go along, so you can help share some of your insights with the rest of us. Hopefully we can give all of you some great insights and some ideas to improve your template programs going forward. Or for those of you who don't yet have branded templates, we'll help you understand why it's important to start creating those. All right, so let's jump into this. I want to talk first about paint by numbers. So let me see in the chat if you have ever done, just give me if you've ever done a paint by numbers like this before. Looks like there's a lot of you who've done it. Okay, paint by numbers looks like it's pretty popular. Cool. So I want to tell you a quick story about paint by numbers. A few years ago, I went to a white elephant gift exchange, and I came home with a paint by numbers kit, kind of like what you see here. The one that I had, though, it wasn't an animal or a fox. It was a city scene, but it was really similar to what you see here. And my wife and I were actually pretty excited about doing this. We're always looking for fun activities to do together. We have 3 kids under 6, and so it's always crazy. And then we look to kind of relax after they go to bed in the evenings. So we were excited about this paint by numbers kit. We started working on it. The first night we got pretty far, but it was big. And so the second night we pulled out again, we started working on it. Didn't finish it the second night. By the third night, we were just, a little bit burnt out, wanted to do something different. And we ended up not picking that project back up. We never actually finished it. I think we have this half finished paint by numbers set in the top of a closet somewhere in our house. And so why am I talking about paint by numbers? Well, my wife and I never got to realize the full benefit and see that end result of, an amazing work of art created. That's different from some of these other people. As I searched for pictures of this online, I found there's some pretty amazing works of art out there that complete non-designers, people with no creative background, have created by following this process of paint by numbers, right? But it takes some diligence to be able to see that end result. And so again, why are we talking about this? Well, really templates can be like paint by numbers for your brand. When you can create some really great templates for people to use, it's not easy to set up a program like that and to maintain it. But when you do, you can help people arrive at that moment, just like those people who accomplish their paint by numbers, right? Where they can create something that's great, that's on brand, that tells your company's story in a consistent way. And there's so many benefits that come from that. Unfortunately, most organizations don't take full advantage of templates, and they don't realize the full potential. Just like my wife and I, who, just the excitement fizzled out after a little bit. Many organizations are the same way. They don't take full advantage. What do? They create a couple of PowerPoint templates for presentations, maybe some letterhead templates in Microsoft Word or something like that. They throw them out there. They hope and cross their fingers that people are going to use them. And as a result, if that's where they stop, they don't realize that full potential. So I want to jump into a quick discussion real quick. So we're just going to use the chat on this one. So here's the question. What is the biggest challenge your organization has faced when creating brand templates? Drop your answers just in our chat right now. Let's see if we can have a quick discussion and share some insights with each other. So it looks like skill level or usability, the flexibility of templates, not getting adoption across the company. Looks awesome. Consistency. We're getting a lot of these coming in here. This is great. Consistency again. People not being able to use the templates or not knowing how. Getting all the right formats. The flexibility versus usability. What's the best platform? How to actually create the templates or formats. Great. These are really, really common challenges that many companies and organizations face. So we're going to talk about a lot of these in our tips today. Great. I love seeing all of this come in. Please continue to keep sharing in our chat today. So here's my bold claim for today before we jump in. One of the most important investments winning marketing teams can make today is in a strong brand templating program, right? I know there's probably some of you out there seeing that thinking, what? Templates, really? Of all of the things pulling at a marketing or a creative team's time and budget, templates, really? Is that really the most important thing? It is. I believe it is. And I'm gonna take a minute and talk to you a little bit about why that's the case before we jump into those 9 mistakes and fixes. So I want to talk to you about a change that I've seen, again, through talking with all of these marketers and creatives the last few years, this change that's happening in the world across many industries. For those of you who attended our last Lunch and Learn webinar, you got to learn a little bit more about this idea of the design democracy. But I'm just going to share a quick overview for those of you who haven't heard about it yet. So there's really two pieces of this design democracy, 2 changes that are happening in the world. Tell me if you resonate with these. Have you seen these? The first is that the world now expects great design. As consumers, we expect the Apple experience or the Disney experience across all pieces of content that we consume, whether it's physical or digital or in-person experiences. The other piece of the design democracy is that everyone at your company is now a content creator. Vendors, partners, salespeople, employees, they're all creating content on behalf of your brand, right? Looks like some people can resonate with this. I see some chats coming in about this. Well, as we look at the winning companies in this design democracy, it's those design-centric organizations, those that find the way to scale consistent design across their entire organization. It's the Apples of the world, or the IBMs, or the Nike, or the Walt Disney, right? This is from a study from a few years ago that found that those design-centric companies actually financially outperform their peers by more than 2 to 1, right? This is just the financial performance. So there's a real value to great design scaled consistently across your organization. Not only that, but these are companies that you recognize as some of the world's strongest, most valuable brands. Did you know that last year, Apple's brand, just their brand, was estimated to be worth $205 billion? It's astounding, right? That's just the value of their brand. But the design democracy has caused a lot of challenges for the rest of us, right? The smaller companies or organizations or universities, right, who aren't necessarily the Apples or the Disneys. There's some challenges that have come about because of this. The first is off-brand or poorly designed content, right? We did a study this last year that found that 88% of organizations have created content that does not conform to brand guidelines. That means the majority of you have content out there in the wild right now that does not conform to your brand guidelines, right? So whether it's an off-brand poster or whether it's a sign that someone prints out on a bathroom that's out of service that makes no sense, right? I don't think that the people who created these pieces of content that you see here are really to blame. Honestly, they probably did the best they could with the tools and resources that they had, but they didn't have the templates necessarily, is my guess. They didn't have the resources to create something that looks great and on brand. And there's a negative impact on their companies or organizations' brands because of this. Next challenge is creative teams are producing 10 times the volume of content than in previous years. Have you seen this? Have you seen this increase in content production at your company? Well, the truth is in today's design democracy, they're going to be winning organizations and losing organizations. The losing organizations are going to limit the creators, right? They're not going to acknowledge this change that's happening, and they're going to allow off-brand experiences to be created. This is going to stunt their growth. On the other hand, the winning organizations are the ones that find ways to empower creators and scale great design to create truly on-brand experiences. These are the lasting brands, right? And we really believe that brand templating, creating well-designed templates, is the solution to this problem. It's about empowering everyone across your organization with the resources they need to create on-brand content quickly and easily. It's the process that you can double your creative team's output in half the time by eliminating so many of those small production-related requests that come to your creative team, pushing those instead to templates. Your creative team can focus on the larger brand building initiatives that they want to work on and that have a bigger impact. This is the solution for thriving in today's design democracy. All right, enough of the pre-context. Let's get into the meat of this. So the 9 most common templating mistakes that organizations make and how to fix them. Ready? You ready for it? Here we go. Number 1, the mistake that we see often is just not creating templates in the first place because whatever the reason is, you fill in the blank. Maybe you're afraid people will screw them up, or maybe you think that your marketing team should be the only people creating branded content. Maybe it's just too much work, right? The second point that I mentioned is one that we see often. It's what we call the brand prison at Lucid Press, right? Have you ever worked in an organization that is like the brand prison, where the central marketing or creative team says, hey, in order to control the brand and ensure consistency, no one else create content. Send us all your requests, we'll create it for you, right? That's a challenge. I know that the intentions are good there because they want to ensure consistency, but I just showed you some of those stats of 10 times the volume of content creative teams are creating compared to previous years, right? It's just not scalable. It's not sustainable in today's design democracy. So what's the fix? The fix for this is making sure that brand templating is a strategic priority from the top down. So maybe you understand the importance of brand templating. You understand this idea that we just shared about, you know, this design democracy, the winners and losers in this new change that's happening. But if your boss doesn't understand this, if your boss's boss doesn't understand this, then the first step for you, your job right now, is to convince them of that. We have a lot of stats that we can share with you. If you need help ever telling the story of why brand templating is important or the impacts of the design democracy, please reach out. We are happy to help empower you to tell this story across your organization, because it has to be a strategic priority from the top down. in order to ensure that you can realize all of the benefits of brand templating. All right, mistake number 2 that we see is only creating templates for a single channel or use case. So maybe you're the organization that just gets bombarded with requests for posters or flyers, like you see here, right? Maybe 75% of your creative requests are for posters or flyers. And so what do organizations like that do? Well, they have an idea, let's create a bunch of poster or flyer templates, and we can remove that. You'll probably see a benefit from that. But unfortunately, you won't see the full benefit of brand templating until you make it an organization-wide initiative. It needs to be everyone across the organization empowered with the templates and the assets that they need in order to create content that's consistent. That's how you help get buy-in all the way up to the top, is making sure that this is an organization-wide initiative. All right, mistake number 3, we're moving along here. Creating generic templates that people don't really need and won't use. So this is what I want you to do. We're gonna do a quick activity. Most of you are probably sitting at your computer. If you are, I want you to open a new tab in a browser, okay? And I want you to search for brand identity templates. Search for brand identity templates and look at the images that come up there. You'll probably see something really similar to what I've posted here. Do you? If you do, drop it in the chat. Let me hear it. Are you seeing something similar to this image that I've posted here? Okay. Well, you'll probably see that most of those images have the same exact templates in all of them, right? And you know, for those of you who are creatives, who've created a brand before, whether it's at an agency, as a freelancer, or in-house, right? You know the reason why when you create a new brand, you want to apply it across different mediums to make sure that that application works, right? And so the point is here, often when you go to an agency or you create a new brand like this, you apply it across these different templates, but then what does that agency give you? They give you all of those same templates that they just applied it across. But as you look at this, I bet there's many of your companies out there who don't create CDs at all, like you see in this picture. Or maybe you don't create or use letterheads at all. Maybe there's no direct mail. Maybe you're fully digital, or maybe you're heavy print, right? The point here is that often when companies go to create templates, they do it like a brand identity package that's just generic, and they put it out there. But many times those aren't the templates that people actually need. So the fix for this is making sure that you do enough research to identify which templates to create, and also the styles and components on those templates that people actually need. So here are some ideas. Look at the most requested items from the past year or the past few years from your central creative team, and create templates for all of those things. Send out a survey. So Tyson, who's on our webinar here today, he's one of our graphic designers who helps manage our templates internally at LucidPress. He sent out this survey to our sales team to just gauge which templates are most valuable. Another idea is to shadow your team while they're creating content. So if it's a sales team that creates a lot of content, ask them if you can just sit and look over their shoulder as they create something. What you might notice is maybe you've created a 2-column brochure for them, but they're constantly trying to edit that to be a 1-column brochure. That's an example of the styles and components of templates, and that can help inform the types of templates that you need to create, right? So research. Mistake number 4, only sharing templates and not assets. So we see this often where people focus so much on the templates, they forget the other aspect of it is the things that people need to customize the templates, right? So here's a quick example. Let's say internally, our marketing team at LucidPress, we created this poster or flyer template here that was fairly generic. If we share it out just like this to our event team, let's say, our event team needs to create this template for an upcoming event. If we didn't share out our logos alongside this template, what would they do? They'd go on Google, right? And they'd type in LucidPress logo. And if you're a company like ours, where we have gone through a few brand refreshes in the past few years, this is what they'd see. They'd see a handful of different styles of templates. Some of our older, different logos. Some of our older logos are still floating around out there, right? They might not know which is the most current one. So they'd grab the first one, they'd come drop it in, they would create a flyer that's off brand. Does this sound familiar? I bet this happens at many of your organizations, something similar to this at least. So the fix for this is making sure that you can create and provide both templates and assets, make those available so people can customize the templates and still stay on brand. So examples of assets might include logos, they might include colors, fonts, text styles, approved pre-written copy, or approved images. All of these things are things that people might need in order to customize your templates and stay on brand. All right, mistake number 5. This is a big one. Thinking that Microsoft Word and PowerPoint, or pick your creation tool, thinking that those types of templates are the only option, right? I pick on Microsoft Word and PowerPoint because everyone has access to those tools. And every non-designer at your company, these are the tools that they know how to create in, right? These are probably the tools that they ask for templates in, right? And you know, this is not a knock on Microsoft Word or PowerPoint at all. They are great programs for what they're meant for, what they were created for, presentations and word processing, but they weren't created as templating platforms. So there's a lot of things missing from these programs when you try to use them as templating programs. So the fix for this is pretty obvious. It's finding a platform that specializes in brand templating and helping you create templates. Of course, I'm biased. I recommend LucidPress, of course. But regardless of whether you decide to go with LucidPress or another solution out there, these are some features or elements of brand templating platforms that you should make sure that whatever solution you have, they have these features. So the first is InDesign import. Being able to import existing InDesign files allows your central creative team to work in the tool that they still prefer, like Adobe InDesign, but import those to another platform that is easier for customization so that people don't have to customize those in InDesign, and it's easier for them to customize. The second is the ability to lock down elements of templates to control consistency in your brand. I'll share out more about that in a moment. We already talked about the importance of sharing assets alongside your templates. So the ability to store brand assets and images alongside your templates. The ability to integrate with data and automate the customization of templates. Of course, multi-channel distribution options to be able to share out. Review and approval process is important for many who want to have the final stamp of approval. And of course, real-time collaboration. As so many people are working remote, real-time collaboration in a platform allows you to not have to email back and forth that V4, V5 of that PowerPoint document that you're working on, right? Many of us, I'm sure, have had that experience before. So you want to avoid those things. So again, regardless of whether you decide to move forward with a platform like LucidPress or something else, these are elements of a brand templating platform that you should look for. All right, mistake number 6, not locking down important elements of your template. So I mentioned this briefly. I thought this was interesting. If you, when I went online and I just kind of searched, there's so many forums out there where we just talked about PowerPoint and Word, right? So many people asking the same question for the last 10 years of how do you lock down elements in PowerPoint, right? The truth is you can't. You can't lock down elements in PowerPoint. And in so many creation tools like that, you can't. Because why? They're not templating programs, right? They're meant for creating presentations. And so the fix for this is locking down important elements to ensure brand consistency and compliance. So what does locking look like? Well, in this example here, we have maybe a social media graphic and a poster. Maybe your logo, no one should need to customize that or tweak it or stretch it. So you lock it down completely so that they can't cover it up, they can't move it or remove it. But maybe your text box, you want to lock down the position of the text box, and you want to lock down your brand font to enforce your brand font and color. But you can still allow someone to customize the content in that text box, right? That's an example of what locking might look like. And what's really important to note here is we talked about the brand prison before that so many companies work in, right? The brand prison is where, in an attempt to control consistency, the central marketing or creative team says, no one create content, send us all your stuff, we'll create it for you, right? Again, the intentions are good there, but the problem with that is it's not scalable. What locking allows you to do is to give non-designers the guardrails they need to succeed. So you lock down elements of your templates, and that allows other people to customize them while still staying on brand, right? It's another solution to that same challenge of how do you ensure brand consistency. All right, moving along here. Mistake number 7 is assuming people will find and use your templates on their own. So I'm sure there's some of you out here who are guilty of this, who've done it. I know that many organizations do. You get so excited about creating templates that then you throw it in a SharePoint site or in a Google Drive or Box or Dropbox folder somewhere, and that's the extent of it. You then just hope and pray that people will find your templates and actually use them, right? Do they find them? No. A few people might, but the majority of them don't. So the fix here is internal marketing for your template program. You know, I think it's kind of ironic that so many of us work on marketing teams. We're thinking about marketing all day, every day, about marketing to our customers and to our prospects. But we often forget about one of the most important and impactful marketing channels, which is internal marketing. And that's especially applicable for your template program. So what are some ideas of how you can do internal marketing for your template program? Right? So one idea might be if you have an in-office TV that runs ads, advertise your template program on that. Or maybe you have a break room. You can create little table tents to put on the tables in the break room to advertise your template program. When you create new templates and launch them out there, make sure you're notifying teams of those new templates every time they're released. So whether that's an email or Slack or another program of however your company sends out messages. This is an example, this image here is an example of the email that we send out every month to our whole team about the new templates and assets that we've created. Another idea for internal marketing is sharing short case studies of templates that teams have found most valuable. Maybe you even offer a monthly gift card for the employees who share their case studies or their ideas, right? And the last idea here is linking to templates in your creative request form. So if you already have a creative request form where people are coming to request content from your central team, just adding a little link and a note to where your templates are can help them, you know, identify, oh, if I just have a simple ad hoc request, maybe I can just customize that with the template, right? There's plenty of other ideas here, but the point is making sure that you're constantly spreading the word about your templates is key. All right, mistake number 8. How are we doing on time? It looks like we're doing okay. All right, mistake number 8, not redirecting new marketing requests back to the templates, right? So I love this cycle of mediocrity. I actually borrowed this from my friend Remington, who is a creative director at a real estate company in Texas. And I heard him share this idea of the cycle of mediocrity one time, and I wanted to borrow it. So the cycle of mediocrity is this. So many companies work in this cycle of mediocrity. Your central marketing and creative team spends so much time servicing requests from everyone across the organization that they don't have time to invest in creating good brand templates. So your templates become out of date. And so because your templates are out of date, people don't really want to use them, right? So they come to your team and they want a custom piece. They request a custom piece. And you know, you're trying to help people out, so you oblige. You create a custom piece for them, but then what happens once you create a custom piece for someone? Well, their peers see that custom piece and they don't want to use the templates anymore. They want a custom piece too. So they send in even more requests and the cycle continues, right? So the key here is we got to break this cycle of mediocrity that exists at so many different organizations today on that central marketing and creative team. And the fix for that is education, education, education. On when and how to redirect creative requests that come in back to the templates if needed. And then you also need to educate the organization on the positive impacts from your template program. And you need to make sure that you share those impacts across the whole org. Looks like we're back on. Sorry, I know looks like I froze and glitched out there for a minute, but looks like we're good to go. So education, education, education is this fix. All right. Mistake number 9, only creating dumb templates that don't leverage the power of automation. So in this example here, let's say we have a real estate agent that wants to create a postcard for a new home that she's listing, right? In a dumb template, quote unquote dumb template, right? She would open that up and then she'd have to do a lot of copy and paste. She'd copy and paste the price and the address of the home and the description and her profile image and contact information and everything else, right? So this template is better than nothing, right? These are the types of templates that so many of our organizations have. The problem is when you think about this real estate agent, if she's listing 10 or 15 houses a week and she wants to create postcards and flyers and everything else for each of those listings, think about how much of her time is being taken away from actual selling and focused just on copy and paste, right? That gets pretty frustrating. So the fix for this are smart templates, templates that can auto-populate information and images. So let's redo that scenario. That real estate agent, she's able to go into your template program. There's an integration with her MLS where she can just select the property that is newly listed and apply that to her template. All of a sudden, all of those things are automatically applied to her template, and she's able to print or share that to social or whatever right away. Think about the difference of experiences. How much more likely is that real estate agent, that end user, going to be to want to continue using templates? That's a magical moment for her, right? So I know many of you mentioned at the beginning, one of the challenges you face is adoption. Smart templates are things that can really wow people and help them want to come back and use your templates because they see the value in it. All right, we're almost there. This is our bonus mistake and fix. So here we go. The last one is assuming your work is done after creating your templates. Again, so often when organizations create templates, they spend so much time creating the templates because it's a lot of work. And they feel like they crossed the finish line and they raise their hands and say, we did it, we're done, right? The fix here is that the most effective brand templating programs are always improving. They're never finished, right? It's important to realize that if you want to do this well, you need to make sure that you're constantly improving. So what does constant improvement look like? Well, it's updating and improving and retiring old templates, creating new ones to replace those and new assets. It's doing some of that marketing and promotion for all of your new templates. It's doing regular trainings with your teams on your brand guidelines or standards, on basic design principles and on how to use your templates. And it's measuring the results and impacts of your templates and sharing that with the entire organization. The key to this is that if you compare the time it takes to invest in maintaining a successful brand templating program compared to the brand prison that we talked about before, where you just have everyone send all of those requests to your central team and create, it's way less time and effort to successfully manage a brand templating program that empowers everyone across your organization to create on-brand content quickly and efficiently, right? So that's our last fix here. So here we go. Here's a quick recap or summary of what we talked about today. These are the 9 most common templating mistakes that organizations make. I want you to all just drop the number in of the one that you have seen the most, either at your current organization or at organizations you've worked at in the past. Which number, which mistake is most common? Looks like 5. Wow, 5, 5, 5. We got a 7 in there. We got a 1, a 6. Okay, 2. Good. So all across the board. Well, good. Hopefully you've started to identify that some of these are really common across every organization. We're seeing that right now as it's coming in to chat. This is great. And hopefully these fixes are things that can start giving you ideas of what to do to improve or overcome some of those mistakes. So here's the fixes that we discussed. So looking at this list now, what is the one fix that you feel like is most important? Drop that number into the chat now. Which fix are you going to go and do or go and implement? Or which one have you found most impactful? Number 10, number 2, number 5, 6, 7, 9. Looks like it's all across the board, which is great. I love to see that. That means that some of these fixes here, they're applicable for all of you. You're all facing different challenges when it comes to successfully implementing templating at your organization. So hopefully some of these fixes have really helped you get some ideas of what to go and do. And so just as we close this out, I just want to end with just this thought. Brand templating, successfully implementing a brand templating program at your organization can improve consistency and compliance and also increase capacity for your creative team. It can help your creative team move away from those small production requests and focus more on, again, the larger brand building initiatives that help your organization move forward. And it really is the solution for thriving in today's design democracy. So that is the reason why, again, my bold claim that I made at the beginning, that is the reason why I fully believe that one of the most important investments winning marketing and creative teams are making today is in strong brand templating programs. So with that, the moment you've all been waiting for, we're going to invite V back on here to announce our winners for DoorDash. But just as she's coming on, I also want to make sure that you all are aware of our next webinar that's coming up. It's with our inbound marketing manager, Christina Sanders, who's brilliant. She's going to be talking about how to avoid CX or customer experience failure by empowering your team to become your greatest CX asset. So if you're interested in that, it's on the 17th later this month. Feel free to register. That link there is bit.ly/CX failure. Feel free to go to that link right now and register for that. We'd love to have you there. So with that, V, let's turn it back over to you for our giveaways.
Okay.
And then we'll jump into some Q&A.
Perfect. Thanks, Garrett. Great talk. I really enjoyed all of those tips as well. But again, I'm also very biased. For those of you that want to register for that webinar, I did just drop the link into the chat box. You may have to scroll up as we've had a few comments since then. But yes, let's go ahead and pick the winners. So we have, again, 2 $25 DoorDash gift cards. Your next lunch is on us. The first winner is, can I do like a drum roll at my home?
Do it.
The first winner is Leah Wolf. And then
congratulations, Leah.
Congrats, Leah. And the second one is Victor Barnhart. So again, that's Leah Wolf and Victor Barnhart. I'll drop that in.
Congratulations, Victor.
And then Victor and Leah, I'll email you after the event just to send you that DoorDash gift card. Thanks again for joining. And then now, Garrett, if we have a quick 5 minutes left, do you have time for a couple questions?
Let's do it. Yeah, let's jump in here. So again, I'll leave this up just for a minute so you can see this webinar, and then we will jump into some Q&A. So V, it looks like the first question that we have is looking for some great tips to convince owners and principals of the strategic need to create templates. It's a good question, and it's a hard one. It's a big challenge at many organizations, especially if the leaders at your organization don't come from a marketing or creative background, right? The thing that I found them to be super helpful is sharing some of those stats and facts. So I shared some of those at the beginning. We have a whole nother presentation, like I mentioned. Our last Lunch and Learn webinar was about brand templating. We shared a lot of these stats and facts. We're happy to share that with you. But if you think about the leadership at your organization, typically people not always, but typically people in leadership roles, they want to see the numbers, they want to see the stats and facts, and they want to think about the vision of what a software purchase or what a program like brand templating might do for them going forward. And so being able to help illustrate that you've been able to identify some of these changes happening in the world, back that up with some statistics, and project what that might look like can help frame how important it is for your company to become a winning organization by implementing a successful brand templating program. So hopefully that helped answer that question. The next question that we have is, having a platform for templating and brand is great, but I work for a nonprofit and our budget won't allow for this for a while. Any tips in the meantime? That's a good question. The truth is that regardless of what type of industry you work in or what your budget is, there's a need for something like brand templating. And I think that, most would agree with that. Lucid Press actually, just as an aside, we work with lots and lots of nonprofits, whether it's, churches or, there are tons of, YMCAs or other organizations like that purchase Lucid Press to help ensure consistency. So I know that with nonprofits, budgets are always a concern, right? But I think that one of the key things there is, again, going back to question number one, a lot of times budget's a concern because the things that you want to purchase are not top priority, especially for some leadership there. So it's evaluating how important brand templating is compared to a lot of your other initiatives. And if you evaluate that and you identify that it is one of the top priorities for your organization where it's at right now, it's helping show that to all of the leaders across the organization, helping prove that this is something worth investing in. And I think that you realize the benefits of that. We've seen it over and over again with so many of our customers and others who, when they successfully roll out a brand templating program like this, they see the ROI down the road, and it helps prove the value of it. Great question. Hopefully that helped answer it. Looks like there are a few more. The next question we had was from Victor, one of our winners. Great, Victor. Victor asked, should web or print be considered when making a brand refresh, or both at the same time? Victor, I think every organization is a little bit different. I think it depends on, what are the types of materials that your organization is creating most often. If you are a organization that's creating both digital and print equally, then it might make sense to create templates and refresh your brand across all of those assets. But if you're an organization that creates mostly print or mostly digital materials, it might not make sense to do both, right? So I know that's kind of a short roundabout answer, but I think that that's kind of the truth. It depends on your organization. Great. Looking here, V, how are we doing on time? Do we have time for any other questions here?
I think we are out of time, Garrett, but I will go ahead and drop Garrett's email into the chat box if you guys want to ping him any questions after separately. Well, this webinar recording will also be sent out within 1 or 2 days of the event ending, so feel free to share it with your colleagues afterward as well.
Thank you so much, V. Thank you all for attending today. Feel free to reach out if you have other questions. I'd love to help answer them. Have a good rest of the day.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.